Metric prefixes. Learning goal. I can describe really big and really small metric units and relate them to units that I understand better. Suppose we're making skipping ropes for everyone in a school. There are 700 students and each skipping rope will be 225 centimeters in length. How many meters of rope do we need? Well, as you can imagine, we'd start off by calculating 700 times 225. That gives us 157,500 centimeters of rope required. But that's a fairly tricky number. You're going to go into the store and you're probably going to be buying the rope in meters. So we'd like our answer to be in meters. Another way of thinking about that is 157,500 times 10 to the minus 2 meters is the same as 157,500 centimeters. The 10 to the minus 2 is what tips us off that it's centimeters. Another way of writing that, of course, would be to say 1,575 meters. Now, what about looking at kilometers? 1,575 meters is actually 1.575 kilometers. So, in order to create the 700 skipping ropes that are 225 centimeters in length, we would need 157,500 centimeters, or 1.575 kilometers of rope. Let's look at some of the common metric prefixes and their associated power of 10. We start off with giga, which is times 10 to the 9th. Mega is times 10 to the 6th. You're familiar with that from megabytes. And giga from gigabytes, I suppose, or gigahertz in your computer processor speed. Kilo, you're used to from kilometers, and that's, of course, times 10 to the 3rd. Centi, now we're getting into smaller sizes, so that's times 10 to the minus 2. Milli is times 10 to the minus 3. Think of millimeters. And of course, micro is times 10 to the minus 6th. So supposing we had something that was 4.7 gigahertz, that would be the same as saying 4.7 times 10 to the 9th hertz. Hertz being a measure of frequency. Mega, thinking maybe megabytes of data. If you had 5 megabytes, that would be the same as 5 times 10 to the 6th bytes. If we had something that was 10 kilometers long, we're going on a trip that's 10 kilometers. That, of course, is 10 times 10 to the 3rd meters. 45 centimeters is the same as 45 times 10 to the minus 2 meters. And finally, 32 micrometers is 32 times 10 to the minus 6th meters. If you have 1,500 kilotons of gravel, how many tons do you have? Answer in the form of something times a power of 10. So 1,500 kilotons is equal to 1,500 times 10 to the 3rd tons. Remember, 10 to the 3rd is kilos. Another way of saying that would be 1.5 times 10 to the 6th tons. If you have 23,752 centimeters of thread, how many meters of thread do you have? So we start off with our 23,752 centimeters. We know that that is 237.52 meters. Or it could also be expressed as 23,752 times 10 to the minus 2 meters. In other units, you could do it in hectometers, not a common measurement, 2.3752 hectometers, or 2.3752 times 10 to the 2nd meters. We're told that the population of the United Kingdom in 2020 was almost 68 million people. The key word there is almost 68 million. So we're going to write down a number that's almost 68 million. So we're going to start in the 10 millions column and we'll say we're going to have 67,458,922 people as our approximate population. Now we're asked to describe that number as a number of thousands. So we're asked to describe the number you wrote as a number of thousands. So instead of talking about people now, we're talking about thousands of people. So how many thousands of people do we have? There's our number of people. If we want to turn it into thousands of people, we're taking off the last three numbers. So it's 67,458 thousands of people. Next question says describe the same number as a number of hundreds. So the difference between thousands and hundreds is just one placeholder. So it's 674,589 hundreds of people. It's a little bit of an unusual way to talk. If we wanted to give the same number in billions, we'd say that it's 0.067 billion people. If the population in Canada is exactly 38,128,321 people, how would you write it as millions of people? The answer is you'd have 38.128321 million people. Remember, the million means times 10 to the sixth. How would you write it as billions of people? 0.038128321 billion people. So a very small percentage, a very small part of a billion. And what about if you wanted to write it as thousands of people? Then it would be 38,128,000 people. So if you had groups of 1,000, you would have 38,128 of those groups. Lesson summary. There are special prefixes you can use to describe very big units. They are listed in the place value chart below. So trillions, you use tera. Billions, giga. Millions, mega. Thousands, kilo. And ones, well, no special term, we just use the number. A terameter is 1 trillion meters. A megameter is 1,000,000 meters. So if something is 15 megameters long, it's 15 million meters long, or 15,000 kilometers. The same prefixes are used with mass units and capacity units, for example, kilograms or gigaliters. There are also special prefixes for very small decimal parts of meters. They're listed in the place value chart below. So again, there's no special term for ones. Thousandths, the prefix is milli. Millionths, the prefix is micro. Billionths, the prefix is nano. And trillionths, the prefix is pico. That means that a nanometer is 1 billionth of a meter long. It would take 1 billion nanometers to make a meter. So if an object is 28 nanometers long, it is 28 billionths of a meter long. That is 0.000000028 meters. The same prefixes are used with mass units and capacity units, nanogram and picoliter. Key terms. Tera unit is 1 trillion units. Giga unit is 1 billion units. Mega unit is 1 million units. Kilo unit is 1,000 units. Milliunit is 1,000th of a unit. A microunit is 1 millionth of a unit. And a nanounit is 1 billionth of a unit. And finally, a picounit is 1 trillionth of a unit. Your turn.